It's wonderful to be here with you. Let's start with our ankles underneath our knees, the outer edges of our feet straight, our knees in line with our hips, and then tilting your pelvis into neutral. And if you need a refresher on a neutral pelvis, remember that you can always go to the alignment lessons and watch neutral pelvis. We're going to start by holding on to the back of the chair and then just lifting our rib cage and relaxing our ribs down and back. And I'll show you from a side view in a moment, but we're trying to do this without coming out of neutral pelvis. So with your pelvis nice and upright so that you have that natural curve of your lower back, your ribs are lifting and lowering, but without the pelvis moving back and forth. So pelvis upright as you lift and relax your rib cage down with as little movement in the pelvis as possible. And if you're not sure if you have a neutral pelvis yet while sitting on a chair, then I would say just start with your hips a little bit higher than your knees and give yourself that extra lift. It will make it a little bit easier, and over time that will create the range of motion in your hips that make it easier to sit with a neutral pelvis without feeling like you have to force it. Let's become aware of our breath here into the sides and the back of your lungs. And you might notice that when you lift your ribs and thrust your ribs up, that it's harder to breathe into the sides and the backs of your ribs, which is where we want to be breathing, which is one of the main reasons we want to get out of the habit of holding ourselves with our chest lifted up. A couple more of these. All right, from there, pelvis in neutral, ribs relax down. Let's start with some dynamic side bends. Right arm goes up and over, and then left arm goes up and over, and just at your own pace here. And if you notice your hips, your pelvis keeps sliding back, push down through your feet a little bit. Feel like your thigh bones are drawing in towards your pelvis a little bit. Notice if you have the habit of rushing to move, which I catch myself into, and not that moving fast isn't good for us at times, but if we're doing it unconsciously, we want to be aware of that. Let's do one more each side, right arm and left arm. And then let's go to the right arm reaching up and over and hold, lean over a little bit with your rib cage, and then just move your arm forward and back a little. The whole time the ribs remain relaxing down. A little bit goes a long way. And let's switch sides. So other arm goes up and over, pelvis upright, ribs relax down, and just move that arm forward and back a little bit. If you hear any cracking or popping in the area, make the motion a little bit smaller. We're not pulling the arm so far back that the ribs have to thrust forward, but you can play with that. You can see how all your muscles are connected, and eventually the farther you pull your arm back, you'll somewhat have to thrust your ribs forward. All right, and then bring that arm down. Okay, from here, heel toe your feet out, and let's take a wide V sit with our toes pointing straight ahead. And when we look at straight feet, we're not looking at our toes, we're looking at the outer edge of our feet. Pelvis upright, let your thighs slowly drop in towards each other and roll open. And if it feels uncomfortable to keep your hips upright, then just lean back a little bit. And we can all do this together. It actually feels pretty nice. It's just a different sensation on the hips. And when you roll open, you're trying to really pull your inner thighs open a little bit more. And then depending how it feels, you can come back to an upright pelvis. Take your time. All right, we will hold our thighs open, sitting up tall in your pelvis, ribs relax down. Bring your arms in front, low in front of you, and open your arms to the sides. and bring your pinky fingers together. Let's open to the sides. You're right above your knees, pinky fingers come together. Go a little higher, low chest level. Open up and bring it in. We'll do 2 at each height. Open up and bring it in without thrusting the ribs. A little bit higher, high chest height. Open up. It's very tempting for the breastbone to lift up, so relax it down, bring it in. Open up through the upper back and the chest, bring it in a little bit higher, face height. Open up and bring it in, inner thighs opening away from each other. Open up and bring it in. Let's make our way down. So we'll do 2 from the top. And then lower to high chest height, and 2 here. And then to lower chest height, 2 here. And then down above your knees and open low and bring your pinky fingers together and open low and bring your pinky fingers together and then just open and release your arms down. Walk your feet back into hip distance apart. Outer edges of feet straight, pelvis upright, ribs relax down. And let's do heel raises here where we lift up onto the balls of our feet and relax our heels down. You're trying to keep your toes somewhat relaxed and really just using the balls of the feet, that cushy area right below your toes. And then you're watching, do your ankles tend to twist? And most commonly the heels twist in and the ankles roll to the side. So as you push down and go up and down, you're trying not to let your ankles twist in or the inside of your foot to roll up. You're keeping doing 2 things, keeping your heels wide so they're straight with the outer edges of your feet and pushing down very equally along the balls of the feet, especially by the big toe, is what's going to help your heels lift up and lower without so much twist of the ankle. And mine are getting a lot better. For a long time, when I lifted and lowered my heels, they really twisted a lot. And if that's happening, it means a lot of times when you're walking up and down hills or going up in stairs, that's happening with every step you take. And now that I said that, I saw my ankles twisting. Of course, lifelong practice. Okay, we're going to cross an ankle over your knee, or you're welcome to use a prop inside your left foot. You can put your right foot on and let your knee open. We will stay in this position for a little while. So if it's not comfortable to have your leg up high or your pelvis really tucks back here, then use something under your foot instead of going over your knee. All right, so your choice. And then from there, sitting up nice and tall, ribs relax down, let's twist towards the knee and unwind and turn your belly button towards the knee and unwind and turn your belly button towards the knee and unwind and turn your belly button towards the knee. Now hold on this one, keep that twist of your belly going, and then reach your left arm to your right foot with your right ankle crossed over, and from here twisting the belly to the right, you'll lift your arm into the air and tap down. Arm goes into the air and tap down to your foot. Arm goes into the air and tap down, and arm goes into the air and tap down. All right, unwind your twist. Now with the outer edge of your foot straight, let's do a 1-leg calf raise. And there's a little bit of weight on it because you've got your ankle crossed over, and it changes a little bit of perhaps the sensation in your hip when you lift and lower your heel here. Go slow, take your time, especially if we ever do any movements that you've not done before. You always want to just go a little bit slower because you never know what you're going to find. And then once your heel comes down, go ahead and hinge forward from your hips a little bit. And then come back up, lift your heel up, hold, and hinge forward a little from your hips. Quite different sensation, at least for me in the hip. And you're changing the opposite leg, heel lifting up and down. Interesting. Okay, and come up and lower that heel down and switch sides. You can either put the block inside your right foot and cross your left ankle over onto the block or cross it over your knee. Sit up nice and tall, rotating from the pelvis. So maybe when you're sitting, you don't need something under your hips. But when you come here, which get pulls on the hips in a different way, it's harder to get your hips upright. Then you'd want to get your hips higher on a couple towels or a couple, firm pillows. All right, from here, let's twist our belly button to the left and unwind. Really focus on the waist. To the left and unwind. To the left and unwind. And to the left and unwind. Okay, let's turn to the left and hold. Reach your right hand over to your left foot. Keep the twist of your waist. Reach that arm up and tap down. Arm goes up and tap down. Arm up and tap down. Arm up and tap down. Unwind your belly button, checking that your ankle's right under your knee, your knees hip distance apart. Lift and lower your heel. Little, really small is okay. Lift and lower. Watch any ankle twist. Lift and lower. Lift and lower. Now keep the heel down. Rotate forward from the pelvis a little bit. Breathing here, letting the breath flow, making sure you're not holding it. And then come up, and then from here, go ahead and lift your heel up off the floor and try to rotate your pelvis forward a little bit there. Breathing. Okay, heel comes down, torso comes up, uncross. If you're using a prop or a block, you can slide it out of the way. For just a moment, reach back, hold onto the chair again, bend your elbows, hug them in without your ribs lifting up, extend your legs straight, and then with your toes pointing up in the air, let's rotate our thigh bones away from each other and towards each other. And try to feel the rotation happening from the very tops of your thigh bones, where your thigh bone meets your pelvis. And then slow down for a couple of the rotations. Okay, from there, release your arms, bend your knees, and now you're going to scoot your left hip towards the center of the chair and extend your right leg out to the right. From here, we're gonna do some more dynamic side bends. You can be on the sole of the foot or the inside of your foot, or you can have your shoes on, of course, and take your right arm up and over like you're creating one long line from your foot to your hand, and bring it back down. And reach up and over, and bring it down. Reach up and over, and bring it down, and reach up and over. Good. Okay, now stay with your arm up and over. Lean over a little bit onto your left leg and see if you can lift your foot and bring it forward a little, and lift your foot and slide it back a little. And again, this is one of those new moves. So if it doesn't feel good for your lower back or your hip, be aware of that. But the work should mostly be here in the side of your buttocks, not so much in your lower back area. So try to slide your foot forward, slide back, slide forward, slide back, slide forward, slide back, and then bring that arm up and bend that knee in, walk it in, and let's switch sides. Bring your right hip to the center of the chair, extend your left leg out. If that last move didn't work for you, start with the knee, center of the hip, knee and ankle in line, then just skip it and you can just stay here and feel that lengthening of your leg. Dynamic side bends. Left arm goes over and down. And over, and down, and over, and down, and over, and down. Okay, this time we stay over. Now you might have to kind of lean your weight over onto that seated hip a little so that you can slide your leg with more ease. Slide your leg back a little, slide your leg forward, slide back, slide forward, slide back, slide forward, slide back, slide forward, slide back, pull yourself up, slide that leg in, bring it back around to the front of the chair, And then from here, we're going to do a lunge. Now you can spin around like we normally do. You can spin around to your right or your left. I'm gonna just scoot my hip over so that it's easier for me to show you what we're doing. But first thing is you're gonna slide that back leg straight back. And you can do a lunge facing forward too. But when the leg is straight back, we wanna find stability. So you have to make sure your hips are far enough on the chair because we're gonna need our hands free for everything we're gonna do. So it might mean smaller ranges of motion, and you'll understand what I mean by that in a moment. But start with your ankle straight behind your knee. So it's not going out or in, which is what we're gonna do in a moment. Ankle straight behind your knee in a lunge. And then from there, let's bring your, whichever leg is back, bring that wrist forward. And then from here, turn your wrist down with your arm straight and rotate your arm bones slowly side to side with your wrist dropping down. And then next time your wrist turns one way, hold there. Just feel perhaps the stretch up into the forearm area. And then rotate your forearm the other way and hold there. And it might hit a different part of your forearm. And then bring back to center and release. Now you're going to take that leg in a little bit. So in towards your chair a little bit. But you have to be able to stabilize yourself. So if you take it too far over, it might be harder to stay on the chair. So maybe just a little bit crooked, and that's okay. It'll slightly hit the front of your hip in a different way, the front of your thigh. From here, bring that same arm up, flip your palm over, and pull your pinky finger gently down, followed by your wrist. Palm flat towards the ceiling, pinky or ring finger down, followed by your wrist. And then middle finger down, followed by your wrist, and pointer finger down, followed by your wrist, and then thumb out to the side, and the wrist goes down. And then bring that up. Now that crooked leg is going to come back to center and go a little bit out to the side. It might be a little bit easier to stabilize, and you're internally rotating your thigh bone here. And now bring your hand up, and I call this dinosaur arm, when your elbow's bent and your wrist turns down. It's easy as you're doing this to all of a sudden not have your wrist turning down. So keep your wrist turning down and gently pull your pinky finger down towards the back of your forearm. And then go over to your ring finger and gently pull that down. And then your middle finger, the closer we get to the pointer finger, often the tighter it is, so go slow. These are little muscles. And then your pointer finger pulls down. And then your thumb pulls down and back. And then release that and slide that leg back to center. Again, this is all okay if you're doing a sideways lunge, slide the leg forward. So you would have a little bit more chair space if you did this all from the side and switch legs. But otherwise, slide the knee back. Start with the ankle right behind the knee. And you know, since I have this rolled up mat, that means later in class we're going to do a double calf stretch where we need a little bit more space. All right, with that thigh dropping down, bring whichever thigh is back, bring that hand forward, curl it into a fist, straighten the arm, drop the fist down, and rotate side to side. Breathing. And then rotate it to one side for a moment and hold. Rotate it to the other side for a moment and hold. Bring it back to center. Now that back ankle is going to come in towards the chair. You might have to lean a little bit to the side. That's okay. Stabilize yourself. Bring that hand forward, shoulder, elbow, wrist in line. Pull the pinky finger down and then the wrist down. And we'll go over to the ring finger down and the wrist down. The middle finger down and the wrist down. The pointer finger down and the wrist down. And then the thumb out to the side and dropping the wrist down. And then release. Now slide that foot back to center and a little bit out to the side. A little bit goes a long way. Dinosaur arm, same arm, elbow bent, wrist bent. Pull the pinky finger gently down. And then go over to the ring finger. and go over to the middle finger and go over to the pointer finger and go over to the thumb going down, and then release, and then slide that foot back to center and bring that leg forward and come back into the center of your chair. Let's walk your feet nice and wide again, and then you're gonna bring your arms forward. I'm gonna show you the 3 moves we're gonna do. We're gonna open and close. Our arms are low chest height. When we bring our arms out to the side, we're gonna do a few of the open and close first, then you're gonna turn your hands forward. You're going to bend and straighten, and we're gonna do that several times. You'll hear me counting. And then when we bend, eventually we'll go up and down. And the reason I wanna show you those 3 moves is because we're gonna do all of them. Pelvis upright, ribs relaxed down, and chin dropping down to the chest. So just drop your head down, feel like you're sliding back your throat a little bit. And then bring your hands in front of you. Keep dropping your chin down, hands low, chest level. Open out to the side and bring the pinky fingers in. 3 more like that. Open and close. Open and close. Open and close. Then open out to the side. Turn your palms to face forward. Bend your elbows into cactus arm, head dropping down, extend out to the side. Bend and extend. Bend and extend. Bend and extend. Now bend your elbows into cactus arms, keep dropping your head down softly, lift your arms up, re-bend into cactus, straighten out all your fingers, lift your arms up, bend down into cactus. 2 more like that. Lift your arms up, bend down into cactus, lift your arms up, bend down into cactus, extend your arms out, lower your hands down, and walk your feet back into hip distance apart. Okay, from here, we're gonna reach our arms out in front of us, and I'm gonna turn sideways so it's a little bit easier to see. You're gonna sit upright with your pelvis, relax your ribs down, and you're just gonna see, can you kind of pull your arm bones out of the shoulder and draw your arm bones back in. Reach your arms out a little, and notice when you pull them in, how the shoulder blades naturally go down the back a little bit. Reach your arms out, slide the arm bones in, reach the arms out, slide the arm bones in. Now, can you keep your arm bones sliding in? It's gentle, nothing is forceful. It's just like you're putting your arm bones more securely in the shoulder socket, and lift and lower your ribs. Lift and lower. Arm bones in the socket, lift and lower. Lift and lower. Good, and then release your arms down, and with your ankles underneath your knees, we're gonna lean forward and we're gonna come up nice and slow. Watch the knees collapsing in, press into your feet, push your hips back, press into your heels to come all the way up to stand, and come on around to the back of your chair. Okay, from the back of the chair, we'll start usually how we start when we get up from the chair, with a thoracic stretch. So go ahead and put your hands on the back of the chair as wide as they'll go, shoulder distance apart. Walk your legs back, outer edges of the feet straight, ankles hip distance apart, and push your thigh bones back. Yeah, and it's great review to watch in the alignment lessons. Watch the feet straight video just to make sure you're figuring out where your bones are and really lining up your feet straight. I can tell you it's the hardest thing. It's such a subtle thing, but for myself, still my feet are often turned a slightly different direction. And also over all these years of working with private clients, it's the one thing I have to remind everyone of the most, because it's such a habit from our brain to our feet, and maybe because our brain are so far away from our feet, that we just go to a little less than straight, especially if we've been practicing straight. Take another breath here. Feel the back chain of the body. Try to straighten your legs all the way. Relax your belly so your tailbone can naturally tilt in the air. Your tailbone here at the bottom of your spine, just kind of going up a little bit. Try not to go back further. Try not to overly drop your spine down to the floor. But if you're rounding, then you are trying to let your spine relax down. Good one to do, and look at yourself in the mirror, because a lot of times it's surprising. And then from here, let's walk on up to the chair, and let's do a calf stretch. So whatever you're going to use for a calf stretch, I'm going to use my double rolled up mat today since I have it. If you have a thick book or a thin yoga block or a towel rolled up, but put the ball of your right foot up. I'll do it from the side actually today. Put the ball of your right foot up, your heel down, outer edges of feet straight, and then you can stay right there, or if you don't feel like you lurch forward, you can step your outside foot forward a little bit. Try to balance the weight so it feels your belly button is between your two legs, and breathing here. And usually I add other things on when we do a calf stretch, but it just really feels good sometimes to focus on the calf stretch, because it's definitely an area of our body that no matter how many times you've done this stretch with me over all these years, because of shoe wearing and walking on and sitting in chairs and the surfaces we walk on a lot of the times, this muscle will forever need our attention. So take a couple more breaths here. And definitely if you have a habit of doing these at home, get into the habit of holding for 30 seconds to a minute. All right, let's switch. Let's switch sides. And if you adjust your prop like I do, are you checking that your feet are straight, that your hips are pushing back? You know, I have to check every time instead of our habitual pattern of turning our feet out and letting our knees go all over the place, which is not such a bad thing to move in all ways. But while we're in this class, we're working on alignment. And then push down through that heel and maybe step the foot forward. Checking feet straight, checking ankles hip distance apart, which is another one that's, if you have a strong habit of walking and standing with your legs closer than hip distance, it's a hard habit to break because you're not used to using those outer hip muscles. So checking that your weight feels equal between both of your legs and breathing here. And I tend to hold my hands here just so that I'm not blocking the view, but really the best habit is to let your arms hang by your side with your elbow pits forward. Watch if you have a habit of always doing this. Try to let your arms hang. Breathing here. Elbow pits forward. Backing your weight up into your heels, noticing how the hips want to drift forward. Back yourself up. And then step off of there. Okay, you can move that to the side. Watch how you're moving it. And let's do a little balance work. So with our feet straight, ankles hip distance, and then hips back over our heels, we're going to tuck our right toes back behind us and just talking about that. Feet straight, ankle hip distance, because if the foot is inside the hip, then it's not using the muscles in a balanced way, which is a way we want to be able to move, but we want to make sure we're strong when our muscles are more in balance and stacked, and then backing your thigh bone up. And if it's hard to maintain any of those, it's better to actually hold on to something. Let's switch feet for a moment. And again, feet straight, one thing at a time, maybe ankles hip distance apart. Watch your hip popping out to the side, then your ankles are no longer hip distance apart. And then back your weight up into your heel. Breathing here. And you're kind of pushing down through that outer hip, a little less so because you have this kickstand, but let's turn it into a balancing pose now. And I forget which one. Oh, we're just going to do a quad march. So again, push down through the right hip, back your weight up into your heel, bend that heel in towards your buttocks, and lower down. Feet straight, ankles hip distance, push down. If the hip pops out, hug it in. Bend the knee in as the weight back over your heel. So you can push down through the front of your foot, but your toes can relax, and lower down. Foot straight, push down through the hip, back the weight up into the heel. Good. And the pieces will all start to come together, but it's nice if you can notice where you struggle, because then that's where you can use support. For instance, for years when I first did this, if I tried to lift my leg up, automatically my hip would go way forward. So I'd have to back up, and when I'd back up, I would be all over the place. So work on what you need to and use the support to help the muscles become stronger. Good. Let's do a couple more each side. And you can pause a little longer, work on your endurance. Because essentially what is walking? Walking is one leg at a time, lifting up off the floor, and we need that endurance so we can take a longer stride, because that's going to help keep our pelvic floor healthy. That's going to help keep our back of our legs active and take some of the work out of our lower back. If we have the range of motion, it's all about having range of motion in the front of your hips. Okay, sitting back into a chair pose, step your right leg way back behind you into a lunge. Pause here, try to center the ball of your foot. Try not to let your front knee go past your ankle. Even here, notice if your thigh tends to collapse in, open it so it's right over your knee. Push down through the ball of that foot, sit your hips back, and step your left leg back into a lunge. Ankles hip distance apart, both feet are straight. Breathing here, knee not going past the ankle. And then push into the heel of the front foot, the ball of the back foot to come up. Grab your strap, hold onto it behind your back with your hands a little wider than your hips, even wider if you know your shoulders are tight. If it's very easy for you to do this with your elbows, then put a little bend in your elbows. Rotate from your pelvis into a half forward fold. Notice that my spine is not moving. So when I rotate it, my spine didn't do this. So try to just move from the pelvis. Back your thigh bones up, elbows hug in, lift the strap off your back any amount, and lower down. And come up, and we'll do that one more time. Rotate from the pelvis, elbows hug in, lift the strap any amount. We'll hold a little bit longer this time. Keep backing your weight up into your heels. Great place to practice neutral thigh bones and relaxing your kneecaps. And then lower the strap down and come on back up. And then you can put your strap down for a moment. And from here, let's step our feet nice and wide. Open your arms out to the sides, palms up, weight back in the heels, shift your hips to the right, shift your hips to the left, shift your hips to the right and to the left, shift your hips to the right, backing up, shift your hips to the left, backing up, shift your hips to the right, shift your hips to the left, come back to center, center your hips, ribs relax down. Slide your ribs to the right, slide your ribs to the left. Rib slide to the right. Try to really feel the ribs moving, just not the arm pulling. Rib slide to the left, rib slide to the right, and to the left, and to the right, and to the left. Good. Come back to center. Palms can stay in the air. You can give them a break. Sit back into a wide squat. Trying not to let the knees go past the ankles, inner thighs don't cave in. Press up into the heels. Sit back into a wide squat. Maybe the hips drop a little lower without the shoulders diving forward. Press into the feet to come up. Sit back into a wide squat. Press into the feet to come up. Sit back into a wide squat. Press into the feet to come up. Now your legs are wide. You're standing behind your chair. Push your thigh bones back. Try to keep that somewhat straight spine, neutral spine, where you have that natural curve behind your back. And if you get the curve and you tend to thrust, for you, you have to lift up. For most people, it's more a matter of not tucking the pelvis under though. And shift your thigh bones to your right without bending your knees, and to your left. You can practice rotating your thigh bones into neutral first and then shifting your hips from right to left. Breathing. Are your toes clenching? Instead, push down through the ball of your foot, through the front of your foot. Couple more side to side. All right, come back to center, push down through the backs of the legs, walk your feet back into hip distance apart. Outer edges of the feet straight, ankles hip distance. Feel free to use your balancing tool. Push down, hug the hip in. If it tends to pop out, let one foot float up into the air. And then I'll show you from the side view, making sure the foot is straight. Your one foot is up and you're doing tiny little pushbacks. Tiny little pushbacks as you balance here. The smaller actually the better. You're checking, did your standing leg go forward, back it up. And we're just trying to get some extension in the front of the hip and engage the back of the leg, which is exactly the motion that you want for walking. But if you go too far, then you start to go into the spinal muscles. So that's why smaller is better. 2 straight legs, you're pushing down through your standing leg hip, so your other foot eventually can float up without you bending the knee. And you're just doing these little swing backs. And essentially, whatever's happening is probably also happening when you walk, because it's the same motion, but now you just have more endurance with it. Let's switch sides. Feet straight, ankles hip distance apart, push down. If the hip pops out, hug it in. Feel free to use support, back your weight up into your heel, and then little pushbacks. Small. So you've got a lot to focus on here. What is my standing leg doing? I'm not just forgetting about it. Pushing down, hugging the hip in, backing the weight into the heel. And then you've got these little swing backs. And if your knee can't straighten all the way, like if you can't push down enough, just know, keep working on that pressing down and the hugging in of the standing leg. That's what will allow that other foot to just barely lift up off the floor over time. Breathing here. Can you feel the little extension in the front of the hip? Can you feel the engagement of the buttocks muscles and the back of the leg? And if you're feeling it in your lower back, that's a good indication that you're swinging too far back. Okay, release that foot down. Cross your right arm over your left arm. Walk back, 2 straight arms, 2 straight legs. You can rest your forehead on your arms if it reaches and it's comfortable. You can look down and check your feet are straight, ankles hip distance apart. Breathing. Press through your hands into the chair a little bit. Create a little bit more length. And then switch the crossing of your arms. Push your hips back. Breathing here. Enjoy the breath here into the back and the sides of the ribs. And good. And you have these little clues now. Oh, if it's really hard for me to breathe into the side and the back of my ribs, and you know you're a rib thruster, you might be rib thrusting. Okay, slowly come on up and feet straight, ankles hip distance apart. Sit back into a chair pose. We'll step our right leg straight back. Push off the ball of the foot to come back up. Feet straight, sit back into a chair pose. Step your right foot out to the right. Wider lunge, stay here for a moment. And then push into the sole of the front foot, the ball of the back foot to press off to come up. Sit back into a chair pose. That same right leg steps across behind you, right onto the ball of the foot. Breathing here. Does your hip really go one way or the other? Try to center your hips and push into the sole of your front foot, the ball of your back foot to come up. Feet straight, sit back into a chair pose. Step your left leg way back, ankles hip distance apart. Center feet are straight, and then push off the ball of the foot and come back up. Sit back into a chair pose. Step your left foot out a little bit wide. Stay for a moment. Nice long back leg, nice bent front leg. Push off the ball of the foot to press up. Sit back in the hips. Step your left foot, cross it behind you. Did your hips push over to the right? Bring your hips back to center. Breathing here. Feet are gentle but active. You're not just forgetting about your feet. You're pushing down a little bit through your feet. And then push into the ball of the back foot, the heel of your front foot to step up. Now you can use your strap again, especially if your shoulders are tight and you had to take it farther, or you can interlace your right pinky finger on the back with your hands behind your back. Rotate from the pelvis, relax the lower belly, lift the hands any amount off the back, lower the hands down. Let's do it again with the hands. Lift the hands up any amount, lower them down. Slowly come up Switch the crossing of your fingers. Rotate forward from the pelvis, bringing your thigh bones back. And then lift your hands off your back a little and lower down. Lift your hands off your back a little and lower down. Slowly come back up. Step your feet nice and wide. Bring your arms out to your sides. Palms rotate up from the shoulders. Shift your hips from left to right. 2 straight legs. Weight back in the heels. From left to right. Left to right. And left to right. Bring your hips to center. Keep your hips steady. Slide your ribs left to right. Slide the ribs. Ribs relax down. Left to right. The more the ribs are relaxed down, the more you'll feel the work in the core musculature. Slide the ribs from left to right and from left to right. Good. Slide to the left. Hold. Slide the ribs a little more without force. Slide to the right and hold. Slide the ribs a little more without force. Bring yourself back to center. You're going to squat down as your pinky fingers come in, low chest height, and press into your heels to open. Squat back, pinky fingers come in, press down through the feet to open. 2 more like that. Squat back and press open. Squat back and press open. Now you're going to squat back and hold. Turn your palms to face forward. Bend and straighten. Bend and straighten. Bend and straighten. Bend and straighten. If you got more squat hold in you, check. If you're losing alignment, maybe straighten your legs now. Otherwise, sit back. And then from there, bend your elbows, extend and bend. 3 more. Extend and bend. Extend and bend. Extend and bend. Extend your arms, extend your legs. From there, hinge forward to your chair. Your feet are wide. Shift your hips to the left and stay, backing your weight up into your heels. And shift your hips to the other side and stay, backing your weight up into your heels. All right, come back to center, weight back in the heels, push through your heels to come up. Okay, let's play with 2 different balancing moves. Feet straight, ankles hip distance, push down through the right hip, hug it in. The left foot floats up, and then from here, as you press down through that hip, you'll lift your leg out and let it down floating. Is your weight back in your heels? Lift it out and let it down. And by the way, if you stand sideways with your chair next to you sideways, sometimes it's easier than having your chair in front of you. Push down, back your hips up, lift your leg out and come down. Lift your leg out and come down. Feet straight, ankle hip distance apart. If you feel work here and work here, that's a good indication that your weight is coming forward, even if just a little bit. So back your hips up more, use the support, push down into the hip, hug it in, the foot floats up, and then lift the leg out and lower down. And leg goes out and lower down, hovering or tapping down. Lift out and lower down. Lift out and lower down. Bring that foot down. Okay, we're going to put all of them together, but before we do that, cross your right arm over your left, walk back, 2 straight arms, 2 straight legs. If you'd like to mix it up for this one, bend your knees and sit your hips back. A little more pull on your shoulders. Maybe you can cross a little higher at your arms. You can straighten your legs at any time. And then push your legs straight. Switch the crossing of your arms, maybe a little higher than last time. Push your thigh bones back. You can stay straight or bend your knees. If your knees are going past your ankles, walk your feet forward a little so you can back up your hips a little more. If you can see between your legs, you can see if your thighs are collapsing in or if your feet turned. And then press into your feet to come up. Okay, feet straight, ankles hip distance apart. Push down through your outer right hip. Let your left foot float up. And now let's circle it around. Now we've got to focus on the standing leg, which is challenging, but the leg goes forward, out to the side, back and in. Forward, out to the side, back and in. How about the other direction? Good. Put that foot down. And be patient with yourself. Be kind to yourself. I used to be really good at balancing with my body out of neutral alignment. So if I look back to the years I practiced in classes, my foot was turned out to the side, my pelvis was forward, and I could hold a pose for a long time and felt really good about it. If I had to move around a lot in a balance pose, I don't know that I was as good at it. But as I really worked on getting my alignment, I feel more confident in my muscles. It's not like a guessing game anymore. It's like I know that these muscles were made to support this kind of movement. So be patient with yourself. Don't force it. But that's why the chair is so lovely, because it allows us to move ourselves into the place where we want to stay and kind of hold ourselves there. Your balance will start to feel more stable. It just takes a lot of time and practice, but it will happen and you'll feel better and more confident about your balancing skills. Push down through the hip, hug the hip in, let the other foot float up, and we'll circle around. Once, and then twice. Try to draw the full circle. We'll go 2 times in the other direction. Once around, and then twice around. And see where my legs start to move quickly, that's the angle where I'd want to work at. I'd want to go a little slower there. Good. So good. Okay. Hands to the chair. Actually, let's turn this into a double calf stretch. So whatever you're using, 2 thin blocks side by side, 2 rolled up, a rolled up mat, a rolled up thick towel that's at least hip distance apart. Let's start with pigeon-toed. Turn your feet in, your heels out, and push your thigh bones back. Relax your belly. Back your hips up more. Breathing. And of course, if you've been backing your hips up for a long time, you can play with keeping your hips right over your ankles if you're able to keep that neutral pelvis. You could even go back and forth a little, put a little movement in it, see where you want to stay. And then switch, turn your toes out, your heels in, back your hips up, and a little forward and back motion there. I like this. I like the motion in a double calf stretch. We'll do more of that. Feet very straight. Relax your belly. Hips push back. Still the neutral curve of your spine. Not hunching over in the upper back. Not hunching over in the lower back. And forward and back. It's the legs doing the motion. The spine is just going along for the ride. All right, step off there. One more thoracic stretch. Hopefully you're doing these more throughout the day. Breathing, 2 straight legs. My knees still want to bend. When I'm sitting, my knees want to bend all the time. Even when one of the first things I notice my body automatically does when I get up in the morning is come on up and get ready to sit in your chair, is my knees want to bend. And I find that so interesting. And so practice straightening your legs more. Just when you're standing around, notice if you stand with a slight knee bend. All right, we are not going to, sorry I said get ready to sit down in your chair. Don't sit down yet, because we're going to do slow squats up and down. So if you sat down, sorry, come on up. Be conscious. How'd you come up? Feet straight, ankles hip distance. Sit back nice and slowly to the chair or whatever you have bolstering. And then tap push your hips back, press into the soles of the feet to come up, and you can either sit all the way down or just tap and push back to come up. Okay? Let's do that 3 more times. And this time, sit all the way down. All right, sitting back in your chair without falling from here. Let's do a top of the foot stretch. You can use your shoe if it's flexible enough. Tuck the top of your right foot under. It's nice if you have a cushion under there, a towel, a mat, something to cushion your foot. Hold on to the chair, bend your elbows a little, drop your chin down. Feel like you're sliding your head back even though your chin is down. Roll your neck a little side to side. Ribs relax down. Let the breath flow. Bring your chin back to center. Lift your head up nice and slowly. You can give your arms a break or switch legs. How about holding on a little different height, higher or lower? Top of the foot stretch on the other foot. Find the center of the foot. It should not hurt anything. It might not be comfortable, but it should not hurt anything. And then ribs relax down, bend those elbows a little, hug them towards each other. Just trying to get shoulder distance apart. Just if you're out here, hug them in a little. You don't need to hug them in closer. And then drop your chin down to your chest. Feel like the back of your head slides back a little and roll your chin side to side. Check what happens to your foot. Does it naturally roll to one side or the other? Good. Bring your head back to center. Lift your head up. Release your arms. Come to the edge of the chair, which also allows you to rotate your pelvis into neutral. Ribs relax down. Hands interlace behind the head so that you can easily feel that your head is ramping back without lifting your ribs up. Rib down, head ramps back. Turn the belly to the right. Breathing. Does your head want to push forward? Back it up into your hands. Do your ribs want to lift? Does your pelvis want to sink back? Yeah, and one of the reasons for me that I appreciate this body work more than ever is because of all the time I've spent sitting on working on the website and everything, all the technical aspects, just like doing computer work again. And man, I can feel the difference. Good. Unwind your body. Switch the crossing of your fingers. Pelvis upright, ribs relax down, head slides back. Over time, those little motions will get smaller, but still check in with them. Twist your belly to the other side. So in this, for instance, if your pelvis sinks back, that's what you really want to focus on first. Then you work your way up the chain. For me, it's my head that always wants to come forward, and I'm pretty confident in my pelvis and ribs to stay in neutral, so I've got to focus a little bit more of my attention on backing my head up into my hands. And letting your breath flow. And unwind nice and slowly. Release your arms, stretch your legs straight. Try to really get as much rotation from the pelvis as you can, and maybe that's where you stop and just flex your ankles a lot more. If your spine is not having any serious issues, then let your spine roll forward. Relax the crown of your head. Let your breath flow freely into the back and the sides of your rib cage. Smooth inhales and exhales. We're going to stay here for a full minute, so we've got about 30 more seconds. And then slowly come on up. All right, bend your knees, put your feet all the way together. Rotate forward from your pelvis. Maybe you stay there. Maybe you keep going a little further. Maybe your belly comes all the way down to your thighs. Breathing. Relax your belly. Come up nice and slowly, pushing through your feet as you come up, and then step your feet a little wider than hip distance, not too wide or you'll have nothing to lean on. Rotate forward from your pelvis and keep on going. Breathing. Are both buttocks cheeks touching the chair, or do you tend to lean to one side? Good, and then press yourself up. Come back to feet hip distance apart. Now you're going to take your right arm up and over into a side bend. Pelvis upright and stays upright. You can put one hand here to feel it. We're going to thrust and relax the ribs down with a side bend. Lift and relax down and back. Feel the difference. Lift, a little bit of lift. Sometimes you'll feel some interesting pull in the lower back area. Ribs drop down and back. Lift, ribs drop down and back. Okay, switch sides. Pelvis upright, left arm goes up and over. Lift your ribs up a little, drop them down and back. Ribs go up a little, drop them down and back. Ribs up a little, drop them down and back. Ribs up a little, drop them down and back. Hold for a moment. And press yourself up. Now with knees hip distance apart, rotate from your pelvis. Hands can rest down, elbows can rest down, spine can just come down between your two legs. Breathing. And then push down into your feet and come on up and sit all the way back in your chair. Let your gaze soften or your eyes gently close. Become very present with your body. Become very present with your breath. Such an important part of practice. Sometimes it feels like it's the easiest part to skip over, but this is the part that really helps your nervous system, is just observing your body after you've done some unique movement with it. Staying connected. Every time the mind wanders away, patiently and persistently bringing your awareness back to your body, scanning it and feeling it. Without making up a story about it, just observing, allowing whatever comes up in this moment. Stay present with your body and with your breath. Make time to play. Go play. Yes, take a break and go play. When your head starts to pound and your back starts to ache, stop. Do something you want to do. Do something that feels good, feels fun. Leave your worries behind, put them in a box, then close it and go play. We make sure that children have time for recess every day, but we forget that we need recess too. The lingering threads of work and worry can tie us to tasks done and undone. They can block our connection to joy, creativity, and the vital life-giving force that courses through us all. We no longer need to slump with tension and fatigue. It isn't necessary and it doesn't help a thing. Most often it hurts. Your fatigue may be from lack of play as much as lack of sleep. You might begin to see that you don't need a rest, a nap, or more vitamin C. You need to play. Play as much as you can. Find time. Take time to play. It may give you the energy you need. Bringing your hands together at heart center. I feel in some ways that this is play for me, and when I'm working, I stop and I move in all these different ways. I hope one day you see this as play if you don't already. In gratitude for this day, namaste. Watch how you get up.